Okay, I have a friend who used to tell me that I was being hyperbolic whenever I would compare life under Republicans' control to life in the actual Handmaid's Tale. Like, I literally couldn't finish the series because I'm like, this is too much like our reality. And he's like, calm down, step down. After you watch this video, please, I'm asking if you wouldn't mind commenting in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Do you agree with his opinion or do you agree with mine? My name is Suri Crowe, and you're watching the MeidasTouch Network. Because my position is that if we allow the Republican Party, aka MAGA, they are now one and the same. MAGA has eaten up the Republican Party, so that's what they are. If we allow them to remain in power, it is only a matter of time before we women lose all of our rights. We know they've already gone after us in rolling back or Roe v. Wade, and they are now coming for our right to vote. Mark me, they are going for the 19th Amendment.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country. And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his new church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Is planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes.
A big focus of his Christian movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no. In the sense that we're both saved by grace, we're absolutely on equal footing. But we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household. Yes, and I do submit to him.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
Pete Hegseth, by the way, our esteemed Secretary of Defense, retweeted that whole story on his X timeline. Hegseth, who has already purged the Department of Defense and the Pentagon of many women in command, who has stated on several occasions that he doesn't really believe women belong outside of the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, or belong in the military, or serving in command roles. And that pastor whom he looks up to, Doug Wilson, lean in. This is what Doug Wilson, a Navy veteran, said about women serving amongst men in at least some military roles. I think we ought to find out the name of the person who suggested that we put women on those submarines and have that man committed, Wilson said. It's like having a playpen that you put 50 cats in and then drop catnip in the middle of it. Whatever happens is going to be ugly. And if you think it's going to advance the cause of women and make sailors start treating women less like objects, then you haven't been around the block very many times. I literally can feel my blood boil as I read that statement. Yeah. That's his take. And that's the position with MAGA, that it's women's fault that men can't keep their dick in their pants. It's our fault if we are sexually assaulted, because women, we're like catnip to men. Men can't be trusted to control their carnal urges. It's the women's fault. I mean, this is so appalling and gross, but it's not shocking. I grew up in that evangelical sort of white nationalist culture, and this is the mantra that women are taught, not only in these creepy church cultures, but societally. Well, what were you wearing? How much did you have to drink? It always blaming the women. So it's no wonder that people like Pete Hegseth, who is a credibly accused sexual predator, is a fan of his. Remember that Hegseth paid off a woman who accused him of rape. Remember that. And of course, he was still confirmed by the supplicant MAGA Republicans in the Senate to be Secretary of Defense. No wonder these men voted for Trump, a man found liable for sexual assault in the E. Jean Carroll case. No wonder. Of course they're on board with these people. Oh, and it gets so much worse with this pastor dude, Doug Wilson. In 2005, Wilson vouched for a convicted serial pedophile. Yep. In his home church in Moscow, Idaho. And he asked the judge for leniency in sentencing him. Sure thing. Wilson wrote a letter to the judge and claimed that he'd been counseling a man by the name of Stephen Sittler, who had been convicted of pedophilia. And this is what Pastor Wilson wrote to the judge. He said, "I am grateful Stephen was caught, and I'm grateful he has been brought to account for these actions so early in his life. At the same time, I would urge that the civil penalties applied would be measured and limited. I have good hope that Steve has genuinely repented and that he will continue to deal with this to become a productive and contributing member of society." Now, after Stephen Sittler was released from jail for time served with the condition of a lifetime on parole, years later, Doug Wilson, once again the lead pastor of this church, vouches for Sittler, a convicted pedophile. He vouches for him to court and marry a young lady within their church community. I kid you not, because in this patriarchal church culture, these elder men choose whom should marry. And he suggests to this young lady that she ought to date and subsequently marry Stephen Sittler, the convicted pedophile. Not only that, Doug Wilson officiated at their wedding. A convicted flipping pedophile. Oh, and surprise, surprise, when the couple eventually had a baby, they had a son, guess what? Police discovered that Sittler had some kind of sexual encounter with his own infant son and obviously violated the terms of his parole. I could not find in any of the court documents. It was never stated exactly what happened, but he claimed under a polygraph that he had been sexually stimulated by his own baby son. If you're throwing up in your mouth, I don't blame you. It is horrifying that this man had a track record of abusing children sexually and then is encouraged to marry a woman, have a child, and then repeats this with his own son. And all of this happened because in these patriarchal circles, pastors like Doug Wilson protect the predators and the pedophiles instead of the women and the children. Doug Wilson encouraged her to marry this monster. And she is supposed to, by the church culture, submit to her husband, to obey her husband. And by the way, I just want to clarify, that is not what the Bible preaches. That is some serious bullshit. I was brainwashed into that my whole life. I never really bought it. But if you do deep biblical studies through translations, that's not what the original Greek and Hebrew translations say at all. That's not what Jesus was about, just FYI. But sadly, this kind of crap happens all of the time. Excellent Reporters exposed the Southern Baptist Convention for its massive, years-long cover-up of widespread sexual abuse within that church. Once again, predators and pedos protected. And just recently, a GOP Utah State Senate president by the name of Stuart Adams rewrote child rape laws in that state in order to protect his 18-year-old relative who had been charged with felony rape and sodomy of a 13-year-old girl. But thanks to that 18-year-old's relation to Senator Adams, those first-degree felony charges where he was facing potentially years in prison were dropped down to third-degree felonies. No additional jail time. And this 18-year-old male, he would not have to register as a sex offender. This new law stating that as long as the 18-year-old is in high school, they will now qualify for the lesser charge under this new law. This is what the Republican, they're literally bending the law to protect predators and pedophiles. And let me be clear here. We know that teenagers are having sex. This was not that. This 13-year-old child, this little girl, was violently assaulted according to the case depositions. And the child's family is reportedly devastated by the fact that this 18-year-old basically got away with just nary a slap on the hand after violently assaulting this child. I mean, that's what happened here, all because Republicans once again protecting the criminals. That's the bottom line. And, again, it goes back to the basic fact that Republicans do not care about women. They do not care about children. They certainly don't care about little girls or little boys or rape victims. And according to recent Rolling Stone reporting, their dear leader, Donald Trump, considers himself that he is actually the true victim in the Epstein pedophile crimes.
Tonight, we have new reporting from Rolling Stone on how Donald Trump views the women who have come forward. Trump has said that some of these people speaking out are, in his words, clearly of a Democrat political affiliation, and has repeatedly critiqued the string of media appearances by Epstein accusers and their families, arguing that some of them are just trying to make him look bad. Swin Subsang is one of the reporters who broke that story. He is a senior political reporter at Rolling Stone, and he joins me now. Good to see you. Thanks for being here on set tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It sort of sounds from your reporting like Donald Trump sees himself as the victim here and not all the survivors who were personally impacted by Epstein.
Absolutely. And that is par for the course for this president. Whatever is going on the political or personal landscape, he always values casting himself as the victim, as the besieged one, even in a situation as black and white as this, when it's pretty clear who the survivors are and who the victims and alleged victims and the accusers are, for something especially so heinous as what we've come to know with regards to the Jeffrey Epstein saga. And one of the things that got us onto reporting this out is that public-facing, Trump is often very garrulous in how he insults his enemies, big and small, who come after him or who, if he feels like they're coming after him, especially when he's sitting as leader of the free world. There is no low level to punch down that is too low for him. But for some reason, he was conspicuously silent about these families and these individual accusers. So we set out to figure out, okay, with our sources in and out of the administration, what is he saying privately? It's not a positive one. He is getting really, really annoyed in recent weeks with these individuals, accusing them of being essentially Democratic operatives.
It is just so bloody damn exhausting to hear this man and the whole Republican Party constantly whine and victim blame and shame. It is gross. They, the MAGA cult, the Fox, the Newsmax right-wing cult, the right-wing broadcasting system, the podcasters, they who have been fixated, all we have heard from them for freaking a decade now is human trafficking, pedos, blaming, everyone from Joe Biden to the Obamas to Tom Hanks. It is just mind-bending to me that that's all we have heard them vomit out of their mouths for years. But when it comes right down to it, they doth protest too much. Every accusation is a confession. I do not have time in this story to post all of the mugshots that I have collected in a special file of GOP pedos. Here's just a gallery of a few of rabid Trumpers who are so, quote, anti-pedo. So, oh my God, we're standing up against human trafficking. These were actually arrested for sex crimes against children. And frequently these are people who are, to some degree high up in the Republican Party. From these folks, from the superintendent in Oklahoma who was busted for playing porn on his computer during a board meeting, a school board meeting, all the way to the top of the heap, to the man in the White House. So once again, it's do not listen to what they say. Look at what they've done, which is absolutely nothing to protect women, children, and victims of sex crimes. Mike Johnson, for God's sakes, shut Congress down for the summer to protect Donald Trump from any exposure in the Epstein files. We are living under a Republican regime. GOP stands for Guardians of Pedos and Predators. And we should be repeating that all the time because, repetition hits. Donald Trump certainly has mastered that. We need to be saying that all the time. And the fact that they are working to remove what's left of women's voices at the voting booth should be crystal clear to us that they are setting up a culture where predominantly white men have all the power to abuse women and children at their leisure and at their pleasure. And it is revolting to me. I got to tell you, while I was researching this story, my blood pressure was just boiling because I am so sick of their shit. I am so sick of their lies and their crimes. So hopefully this will motivate you and fire you up, that if you've been sitting on the sidelines, that you will get in the fight. GOP, Guardians of Pedos and Predators. Say it with me, folks. All right, that's all I've got for now. I will see you back here soon. And as always, wishing you peace, love, and take care.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.